Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Good morning, students. I'm so glad we meet again in chapter 7, Weather, Climate and Adaptations of Animals to Climate. This is my second class of this lesson. Last class we discussed about weather and climate. We have learned that weather is the condition or phenomenon or process that takes place in a short period of time in a particular region. And we have also learned that there are some 5 factors, minimum 5 factors that decides or that affects or that controls a weather condition of a particular region. These 5 factors include temperature, rainfall, wind speed, humidity and atmospheric pressure. Apart from that, we have many other factors, many other conditions, but still we concisely discussed some 5 factors and how they decide the weather of a particular region. And moreover, all these 5 factors are controlled by sun. So sunlight and sun heat, that is the light that is produced by the sun and the heat that is produced by the sun, that decides all these factors, or based on that sunlight all these factors are produced, and because of these factors we come across weather condition of a particular region. Secondly, we learned about the climate. So the difference between a weather and a climate is weather which is for a short period of time, within minutes or within hours the weather changes, but climate it's a condition where it takes place for a long period of time. And moreover, apart from this what you have learned, there are certain aspects based on which the climate is obtained. One, based on the location of a particular region in earth, that is, there are certain places which are at the equatorial region, that is at the center of the earth, which experiences more amount of sunlight. This is because this equatorial region, I hope you know, our earth is elliptical in shape, almost elliptical in shape, and because of that at the center it is like a bulged compared to the corners or compared to the poles, north pole and south pole. And since it is an elliptical in shape, the regions or the places or the countries or the sites that are found in the equatorial region will be found nearer to the sun compared to the poles. And because of that, in the equatorial region more amount of sunlight and the heat of the sun will be there, and because of that you will come a warm temperature experienced by these kind of peoples. For example, our India or the Asia is almost found in the equatorial region. So because of that we experience a warmness compared to the poles, north pole and south pole. So you call this as Arctic regions. Okay. So in the Arctic regions, or in other words I could say north pole and south pole, compared to the equator, since they are away from the since the distance is more compared to the equator from the sunlight, these north pole and south pole, they experience less temperature. Sometimes they experience freezing temperature. That's why I said Arctic regions. For example, Antarctica. So the climate will be freezing compared to those in the equatorial regions. Second factor is based on the landscapes, that is whether it is a mountain region or valleys or plateaus. So you might have learned all this in geography. So based on this you come across the climate changes. For example, if you take hilly regions like Himalayas or maybe South India, Ooty, Kodaikanal. So hilly regions where you experience a chill climate, even though you experience a hot climate, you experience also chill climate, whereas the other regions, especially the valleys or plateaus, so where which is not hilly regions, okay, so where you experience more temperature compared to this hilly regions. I hope you understand. That is, in all these regions you come across warmness, hotness, but at the same time when it comes to chillness, compared to valleys or plateaus, the hilly regions will be more chill in nature. So that's what I'm trying to say. So this is what we call it as landscapes. That is landscape in the sense presence of mountains or whether the region is flat, etc. Okay. So this is the second factor which decides a climate. One, it is based on the location of the place, that is whether it is equator or polar region. And second one is whether it is equator or polar region, this climate is also decided by the landscapes, that is whether it is hilly regions or flat geographical area. Then thirdly, the presence of oceans. We call this as coastal regions. When there is a sea or ocean nearby a place or nearby a state or nearby a country, where you come across a controlled temperature. You will be learning in other lessons about this land breeze and sea breeze. So where you will understand the movement of air from the land towards the sea and vice versa, that is from the sea towards the land. Okay, that's what we call it as land breeze and sea breeze. So second thing is that this land breeze and sea breeze are because of the evaporation of water from these regions, either from the sea or from the land surface, and based on that only you get this land breeze and sea breeze. So I'm not going into that, but based on this land breeze, sea breeze, where you come across as I said few minutes before, in coastal regions where the temperature is controlled because of the presence of sea or ocean. So this is also another factor that decides the climate compared to those in the far away from the sea. The coastal regions, maybe if you consider this south side of India, that is where you come across this east and the west side of the South India, you come across oceans, presence of oceans, and they control the temperature in those coastal regions. Okay, that is, in the coastal regions, the region will neither be too hot or nor too cold. That is the fact. Okay, that is the factor. So that is the importance of ocean or sea. And finally, the presence of vegetation, that is the presence of plants, also decides the climatic condition of a particular place. So in lower classes you might have learned the presence of forests. The more the forest is found in a nation or in a state, there will be more or abundant rainfall, mild climate, chillness, presence of more clouds, etc. So in lower classes you have learned the presence of forest. Now I am saying the presence of vegetation or the presence of plants, that is trees. Okay, so the more the trees are found, you will get the climate or the temperature low. For example, last period we compared Jammu and Kashmir and Kerala, a place in Jammu and Kashmir and a place in Kerala. From this what we learn is, apart from various other factors that we have learned in last class, the other thing is that in Jammu and Kashmir is an example of a hilly region, presence of Mount Everest, etc. So you will have a kind of freezing temperature based on landscapes. At the same time, Kerala is a state which is found near the coastal region, but on the western side of South India. And here Kerala is a special for a special climate, that is you will find a drizzling, presence of more rain, and this I would say mainly because of the presence of more plants or more trees or more vegetation. So when there are more forests or more trees, surely that particular region or particular place will have a marvelous climate, splendid. Okay, so either in the form of a temperature or in the form of rainfall. So there will be more rainfall, or there will be a mild climate, so chill climate. So all this can be obtained by the presence of trees. At the same time, if you take Rajasthan, so even though they are not, Rajasthan is not a coastal region, it's a desert, but at the same time, a desert, what comes into your mind? Absence of plants or absence of trees. If at all, if deserts contain trees, of course it is not possible. If at all there are plants or vegetation or trees in deserts, surely there will be a rain, and surely it is not a desert. It will not be a desert. I hope you understand. So that also plays a major role in deciding the climatic condition of a particular place. I hope you understand. Okay. So when it comes to desert, absence of water, and because of that absence of trees, and because of that absence of rainfall, very low rainfall or no rainfall at all. Okay, so like this the presence of plants or trees or vegetation also can decide a climate. Then finally, one last thing, that is when you consider this eastern South India and western part of South India, where you come across the eastern part will receive more rainfall than the western region of South India. So I am not talking about only Kerala, I am talking about eastern side of South India and comparing with the western side of South India. So where the eastern side of South India will receive more rainfall compared to the western side of South India. And this is mainly because of the movement of winds, formation of clouds. So based on that only you come across this rainfall. We discussed these things in the previous classes. So based on that you come across the difference in the rainfall. Okay, so now with this small intro, refreshment of what we have learned in last class, now we'll enter into today's class, where we are going to learn the second part of the lesson. The first part of the lesson deals with weather, the elements of weather and the climate. The second part of the lesson deals with the adaptations of animals to climate. So when I say adaptation, so each and every living organism present in this world, if you find living organisms even in space, you will find adaptation to that particular region or to that particular climate or to that particular habitat. Habitat is something where the animals live. A place where animals live is known as habitat. So in that habitat, each and every habitat has a different climate. So based on that, the animals have certain adaptations. If I link this to this concept evolution, where it is said that the Darwin's theory says that struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. That is, when a living organism is in a new habitat, a new climate, a new weather condition, or a new place with the different types of plants and animals, based on that particular habit with all these factors, it has to struggle for existence. If it is not able to struggle for living, existence means living. If it is not able to struggle for existence, the animal or the whole species will vanish, will be destroyed, will die of their own, or because of the effect of those conditions. That is the new habitat. It may be because of the plants there, because of the animals there, or because of the climate, etc., or because of the environment there. Okay, in simple words. So the animal should struggle in one way or other. Okay, And if they are able to struggle for existence, struggle to live, and automatically they are said to be called as the survival of the fittest. So this is Darwin's theory. One, struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. Based on these two conditions only, we come across evolution of new species. Evolution of, for example, evolution of humans from apes, or evolution of terrestrial animals from aquatic animals, or evolution of animals, that is aerial animals, that is animals which fly, from normal terrestrial animals. So like that we come across various evolution of one animal into a new species, and that is based on these two factors said by Charles Darwin. One, as per his theory, one is struggle for existence and second one is survival of the fittest. So keeping this in mind, you learn about all this in higher classes. So keeping all this in mind, based on that only we come across this so-called adaptation. When an animal struggles, it need not to be an animal, it may be a plant or a microorganism. When that living organism struggles for existence, which means it tries to adapt itself to the new environment or the new habitat. What is meant by adaptation? So it modifies itself. Let us take human beings as an example. If you are in Pondicherry, you will try to be free. That is wearing a cotton shirt or a cotton banian or a t-shirt, and you roam around. If you are in a desert, what happens is you have to cover your body. Especially you have to cover your ears, sometimes your nose, because of the sandstorm that takes place in deserts. I hope you might have seen these Arabian movies where the Arabian people will be covering almost their body, only eyes will be visible. So that is mainly to adapt themselves or protect themselves from that particular environment, that is desert environment. So like that, if you are in a hilly region or in a freezing condition, okay, so where you come across snow, what will happen is you try to cover yourself. That is different. That is different way of covering, such that you are protected from this freezing temperature. So I would say this is an external adaptation that you produce or that you create to protect yourself or to survive in that particular environment. If you are in Pondicherry, your dress code is different. If you are in school, your dress code is different. If you are in desert, your dress code changes, and if you are in a hilly region, especially in a freezing temperature, your dress code would be different. I would add one more to this. If you are in space, I hope you know, you need a different kind of dress code. Based on the pressure there, based on the temperature there, you need a different kind of suit. So that suits you to that habitat. I hope now you understand. So these are all external, that is clothing. But what we are going to learn in this lesson is internal adaptations. That is adaptation in the skin, adaptation in the muscle, adaptation in the organs, etc. So not only animals, again I repeat, even plants have their own adaptation based on their new habitat. Okay, so we'll see one by one. So actually in your book it is given only animals. Let me give a small idea about the plants, then we'll go to the adaptations in animals. With regard to adaptations, we come across various different kind of adaptations found in various different kinds of plants and animals. For example, if the presence of gills is an adaptation for fishes to survive in water, the presence of lungs in case of terrestrial animals is also an adaptation to survive on the land surface. So terrestrial means land, aquatic means water. So like that, every living organism have their own adaptations. I just want to give you a small idea about adaptations that are found in plants. Then we will continue with the book topic, that is adaptations of animals to climate. Basically, plants can be classified into three different types, namely mesophytes, hydrophytes and xerophytes. Mesophytes are plants that are found in normal land surface. which you find in park, which you find in garden, which you find in normal areas where there is a moderate amount of water. Since these plants need only moderate amount of water, they are known as mesophytes. Secondly, hydrophytes, that is plants that are found in abundant water, that is plants that are found under the sea, plants that are found inside a river or pond or lake, stream, etc. Those are known as hydrophytes, that is plants which are found in abundant water. Then third one is xerophytes, that are plants which are found in dry areas, that is lack of water, or plants that are found in deserts. These are known as xerophytes. Again I repeat, hydrophytes, mesophytes and xerophytes. Hydro means water, that is plants which are found in abundant water are known as hydrophytes. Plants which are found in normal regions on the land surface are known as mesophytes. And finally xerophytes, that is plants which are found in dry areas without water or deserts. So this phytes, it comes from the word phytology. The study of plants may be named as botany, or in technical terms the study of plants is actually known as phytology. And hence we have this word hydrophytes, xerophytes, mesophytes. Why I am using this three kinds of plants? Because I just want to explain how the adaptations are found in these three kinds of plants based on their habitat. That is in mesophytes, where plants that are found in normal land surface, where you come across well-developed root system as well as well-developed shoot system. Well-developed root system to absorb the water and minerals, and which fixes the plant into the soil, and a well-developed shoot system with many branches such that the leaves are exposed to the sunlight and photosynthesis takes place and starch is produced. Whereas in case of hydrophytes, you come across a developed shoot system with many branches, many leaves, but the root system is limited. It will be reduced into a small sized structure, or in some cases, in some plants, there is no roots at all, absence of roots. This is because already hydrophytes are found in abundant water, and I hope you know whatever nutrient you come across, it has its own limit. When the limit extends, I mean for example when you eat more, there is a saying in Tamil, alav meerinal amirthamam nanji. So this amirtham is none other than an elixir which gives immortality. That is known as amirtham. Even that if it extends, I mean beyond the limit, then it becomes a poison. Like that we have medicines. When you are using more medicines, it becomes a poison or it harms your body. Like that we also come across food. Food is a medicine. At the same time, if you eat more, there is a proverb which says too much of something is good for nothing. So when you eat more, it becomes a poison for you, for your life, for your body, for your health, etc. Similarly, when it comes to plants, when there is sufficient water, which means the plant will be healthy and it will grow well, but at the same time, both the cases, when the plant lacks water or when there is abundant water, that results in the death of the plant, withering of the shoot system, etc. So likewise, in case of hydrophytes, since there is abundant water, if there is a well-developed root system, more water will be absorbed, and because of that the plant starts to die. So that's why there is an adaptation in hydrophytes where the root systems are limited or absence of root system. There is no root system at all. If a well-developed root system, well-developed shoot system is for mesophytes, the limited root system or the absence of root system is the adaptation for hydrophytes. I hope you understand. Now we'll go to the third type of plant, that is with regard to xerophytes. So these plants, they are found in areas where there is lack of water, absence of water, And if they have a normal root system and shoot system like a mesophyte or like an hydrophyte, which will not be a which will not be good for those plants. So in case of xerophytes, it has a very well developed root system where the root starts to grow for several meters in search of water under the soil. And second is in case of these kinds of xerophytes like Opentia, Nerium, there are many different types of xerophytes. In these kinds of plants, you come across the leaves are limited, or second, in some plants the leaves are absent, and third, in some plants the leaves are modified into spines. The reason is you have learned in lower classes transpiration. That is a removal of excess water in the form of water vapor is known as transpiration. Like how we have the sweating mechanism in humans, we have a mechanism known as transpiration in plants where excess water is sent out in the form of water vapor. This transpiration mainly takes place through leaves. Okay, so there are other two ways by which transpiration takes place, but almost 90% of the transpiration takes place only through the leaves, through the stomata. So stomata is useful both for respiration as well as for transpiration. What is stomata? Minute small holes or pores that are found in the leaves are known as stomata. So if at all, if there are normal leaves like a mesophyte or a hydrophyte, imagine the water that is found in the plant will be lost. Already there is no water in the earth surface in those deserts. So if at all, if the plant have somehow collected the water, and if they are lost by transpiration, which means the plant will die. So, and that is the reason why we have a limited leaves or no leaves at all in case of xerophytes. Second is with regard to spines. I said leaves are in some plants like Opentia, the leaves are modified into spines. The reason behind this is with regard to these kinds of xerophytes, the shoot system will be flat and fleshy. The shoot system will be flat and fleshy because they store water. The shoot system, that is the stem, will involve in storage of water. And if any animal comes and takes the water by eating the stem, which means it's a loss for the plant, and thereby that also affect the plant's growth, plant's development, and it may die. So to avoid the animals eating these shoot system, the leaves are modified into spines in these kinds of plants. And that because if an animal tries to consume or eat the shoot system for that water, then the spine will prick the animal mouth, and so it because of the pain it goes away. So this is why in some plants the leaves are modified into spines. And as I said just now, first I said about root system, so the root system will be very well developed. Second, I said about leaves, where the leaves will be limited or no leaves, and third one is leaves are modified into spines. And another important adaptation found in xerophytes is the stem. Just now I said where the stem will not be normal in some xerophytes, they will be flat and they will be fleshy in nature so that it stores the food. And finally, one more, let me finish with this concept, with this point. The stem, which is flat and fleshy in nature, it has abundant chlorophyll. Actually, leaves are involved in photosynthesis. Leaves have more chlorophyll. Since there is no leaves in these kinds of plants, the stem contains a chlorophyll pigment, and they involve in the production of starch, that is photosynthesis. So these are the adaptations found in xerophytes, okay, with related to root system, with related to leaves, and with related to stem. So with this, let me finish today's class. So we'll continue the remaining part of the lesson in the next class. This is a very easy topic, very simple concept. So concentrate, and this concentration only will help you to memorize whatever that you learn, or whatever that you observe, or whatever that you hear. So keeping this in mind, concentrate properly and listen to all the classes. Today's assignment is write the following question answers in your notebook.